Okay, Meridian Bank, Great Valley Criterium. This is the second lap, and you'll see in a minute it was action-packed. Cat 5 racing is notoriously sketchy, and this was my last Cat 5 race. And you'll see how it really keeps you on your toes. So here we go. Crashed, second lap, flipped over the bars, and immediately jumped back on my bike within, 5 seconds. I forgot about the whole free lap thing, so I'm thinking, get on the bike as fast as I can and start chasing. Right after I did this initial effort to get moving, I was like, wait a minute, I think I can get a free lap. So I sort of tuck into this arrow position and I'm not trying to chase back, but I'm keeping the field in view. And I'm just thinking, the moment I start passing the officials, I'm just going to start screaming, can I get a free lap? Because I can't stop and ask them. If they say no, then there's no way I'm getting back. So I'm chasing and just keeping. I'm still hitting 32 miles an hour. Just keeping them in view. And if they say no, I know I just have to light it up and get back to the group. So I'm tapping the brakes, not trying to slow down too much. And just as I'm going by, I'm just going to yell to them, can I get a free lap? This is stuff that you would edit out if you were good at editing, but I don't feel like taking hours to figure this out. So it's just going to be a full playthrough. You're just going to be along for the 25 minutes. Can I get a free lap? And yeah, they say yes. I've never had to do this before, so I just kind of do what I'm told. A couple other people were involved in the crash. Maybe not, actually. I don't really remember that guy in pink. Maybe he was. I don't know. And I think a couple people that just got dropped from the group kind of glommed back on, but it's fine. So the course is about a mile. So the group comes around pretty quickly. You can see my heart rate's still 180 because I'm pretty shaken up. But I was totally fine after the crash. I felt nothing. I flipped over and I was like, nothing's broken? This is weird. Checking the camera. In my 3D printed mount for my camera, did not budge. I lost my water bottle, but that's fine. And I don't know. I wasn't super happy with how they let us back in, because you'll see, I ended up having to catch the group regardless. So I don't even know. Maybe if I guess it's nice to get a little break here, but I don't really know that this saved me a lot of effort. They didn't want to give us an advantage by letting us just go off the front and slot in, but they basically waited until the entire peloton went by to let us go back in. So we ended up having to catch up anyway. The whole crash thing, I heard someone what the hell, dude? What are you doing? I don't know what happened. Who cares? And yeah, here we go. We see the little breakaway there, and I can't get clipped in. And I'm trying to spin up. I wish I had my cadence on here. I was doing freaking 40 cadence. And see, I'm right in this position having to catch up again. 700 watts, trying to get up the hill. But one thing I noticed, this arrow position I've kind of adopted, this arrow hoods position, with the brake levers turned in. I don't care if it looks dorky, it's extremely fast on flats. So I can catch up, I had to do 700 watts to get up the hill, but it's not, this is not a huge effort to just get back to the back of the group. You can see in the shadow, I'm kind of tucking my elbows down and resting my forearms on the bars. it's not like the most stable position, but if you're by yourself, you're not around a lot of people, it's super fast. Like, it's crazy that everyone's not doing this, because I've measured it, and it's, at least as far as my CDA and stuff, it's like pretty close to having aero bars. It's essentially like if you were to just like throw on a regular jersey and with a tri-bike with like a not optimized aero position, the CDA is basically the same as like me, like full skin suit and everything. So I grab back on, pull around this guy, kind of use my momentum, not hitting the brakes. And I'm super tentative just because I just crashed, so I don't trust anybody. You see, I'm kind of like hanging out on my own. And I noticed if you're off to the side, this isn't like some crazy insight, but if you're not fully like tucked in with the pack and you leave yourself on the side, if something happens in front of you, you have a lane out. Like if you have to cross the double yellow, it's not the biggest deal. There's like no traffic here. You have a little lane out of the crash. Versus like if you're tucked in like I was in the beginning with people on both sides of you, there's no way to get around. I just had to go straight into the guy. You'll see this guy in the front with the pink sleeves. The whole race he was attacking, trying to get something going. And you'll see later on he was kind of part of the attack that ended up helping me get to the front. So again, I'm like tucked in this aero position, going downhill, and I'm not having to do a whole lot of work to get to the front. I'm at the very front now, and I can't remember why I decided to do this. This may be a preem lap. I can't remember. For both preems, I just tried getting to the front. And I mean, that's not the ideal spot to be if you're going to counterattack a preem. But at least I have I'm not boxed in, and I can see who's attacking, and I can respond to it really quickly. So I found being at the front was not a big penalty. Again, getting aero, and it was not a huge burden. In the pack, I probably would be doing like 100 or so watts, but in the front, you do have these options to get more aggressive, and I'm not really too worried about gassing out here. Oh, and this must have been the preem lap. So yeah, I had this idea to counterattack the preem, or at least get into a break on a preem lap. And you hear I'm yelling to this guy in front of me, go, 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 because I didn't want to go across and do the work of getting with those people up there. I start coming across them. We have a little gap, and I'm yelling, let's work, because I'm thinking we can kind of get a breakaway going here. But as I'm going by them, they're not doing anything. So the guy ended up telling me a couple minutes later that he was just gassed out, and he wasn't able to stick with any kind of break. So that's fine. That's sort of the nature of the beast. And when I realized that, that's when I sort of got this idea in my head for a solo break, because when people are sprinting for preems, they don't have the same idea in their head that they want to start a breakaway. They just want to get the preem and relax. So you hear me saying you were cooked. It's okay. I think you got the preem though. It's $20. It's not bad. But yeah, it's at least in this race, people were not trying to make any real moves during the preems. They were just trying to get the money and slot back in. Whereas I don't care about the preems. I want to win. You can have them. So yeah, after having that experience with the first preem, and then after the crash, I'm thinking, I want to win this race. This is probably my last Cat 5 race. And I don't think I have any chance of bumping bars with the people sprinting just because I'm going to be so tentative. I was just shaken up from the crash. I'm not going to feel comfortable getting super aggressive. So that's where I sort of thought, why not just throw a Hail Mary for a solo break? My position is good. I know the power I can do for 4 minutes after the second preem to get to the finish. So I'm thinking that it's a pretty viable option. And nobody's chasing when people attack for these preems, because they're sort of thinking, they're just going to sit up after they get the preem and slot back in. So it is kind of a sneaky move, at least with this peloton, because no one was really on high alert for any kind of breakaway. This course is also very fast, and I've been caught in the same sort of mindset where you're thinking, this is going to be a field sprint. Breakaways don't really work on fast courses, so I'm not going to chase anything. And I've had experiences where people get away solo or in a group of 3, and they stay away for the whole race. So it does sort of equalize, tight crits where breakaways are much easier, in long and faster, flatter courses like this. The expectation that no one's going to get away kind of does help people get away. So the probability of getting a breakaway is similar in either, just because of the expectation, at least in my experience. And plus, these are, everyone here is Cat 5. I'm not super experienced, but I'm probably one of the more experienced people here, this being the last Cat 5 race I'll be in. So it's obviously more difficult for less experienced people to organize and chase back a break than it would be for, organized teams to do. There were a few teams here. I'm obviously not on a team. I'm just by myself. Spandex Takeover United is my fake team of one. Spandex Takeover United LLC. That's my team. It's so funny when they're forced to say it. Like when they have to be like, and 5th place, Spandex Takeover United. And then this guy attacks. And I'm like, I don't really think I have to chase it. He just didn't come around that fast, and he's like sitting. I mean, everyone's position's different. Maybe that's just what works for his body, but he's sitting up so straight. Like the watt penalty going 29 miles an hour, and you're sitting up that straight. It's going to be so hard to get the speed differential. So he does. The pace picks up to like 30. And I was surprised this hill, like when you come into it doing 30, it really doesn't feel much like a hill. Like I'm like obese compared to these people. I feel like I'm like one of the heavier people in the peloton. So I always notice the hills, and that's where I'm at like a huge disadvantage. But this hill, it's so fast that the aero penalty is so much higher than the weight penalty. It kind of evens things out. This guy's at the front, not really sure why. He flicks his elbow, and I kind of don't really do anything. Why am I at the front? I don't even know. I think I just found that coming down the hill in this arrow hoods position, it's just like it really did not feel very taxing. So I wasn't really that worried about being far up, although it's not like the best, the most efficient thing to do. Again, being tentative after crashing, it's like, I don't know, I sort of wanted to be at the front or, at the back, sort of off to the side with a lane out. You see me off his wheel. I don't know if he had teammates. Like, I don't know why he wants to be at the front, although I don't know why I'm at the front necessarily. Okay, this cuts forward a little bit, just a gap in the camera. It was probably, 5 seconds. You see everyone kind of come around. I slot back in. And there were some really sketchy people in here. I guess it's, again, like some people's first race. And they were just darting all over the place. So I'm happy to cat up now, although most of the races are 4 or 5 anyway, but at least the field kind of splits up and you get, slightly more experienced people up front. But everyone's learning. Crashes happen. It's a dangerous sport. Whatever. People aren't intentionally crashing, so it's not a big deal. Another thing that deterred me from the sprint, if you see this dude in front of me, this freaking giant dude, I don't know if you could see him just go by in the yellow. He looks like a track sprinter. And I'm thinking, like, I have a okay sprint. Like, I guess you could call it a good sprint, relatively speaking, but that dude, like, I'm not confident in my ability to outsprint that guy. So I'm like, I'm not feeling the sprint finish. I'll do anything else. So I'm just sort of tucked in here trying to save energy. Again, this is a part I would skip if I felt like editing, but I don't. Oh, this guy, yeah, that guy in the see how he's swerving, like 1 or 2 wheels in front of me. I think I even yelled out like, "Whoa, that guy's sketchy," which I don't know. I don't want to make him feel bad, but he I don't know. I sometimes am like a little more impulsive when I'm racing as far as like what I'm saying, because the adrenaline's so high. I'm just like, Jesus God, I don't want to crash again. But yeah, sometimes when you're really in your head about following wheels and stuff and staying in the pack, and you're afraid and you're sitting up and you just naturally are super twitchy, and it freaks out everyone behind you, and everyone's kind of like, I don't know, I think when you're out of that like flow state of being in a pack, everything gets more dangerous because everyone's like, if it makes sense, like on manual control versus automatic, and I don't know, it just gets disorganized and a little more sketchy. This hill, coming up the hill again. I raced this the same race a year ago, and I remember actually feeling this hill. I remember like having to sag climb it to save energy, and like during this race, I was like barely even noticed it. The thought of sag climbing that seems so silly in hindsight. And I'm sort of thinking, I've been more of the mindset that when everyone's going easy, go, moderate. And when everyone's going hard, go easy. I guess it's sort of the philosophy of sag climbing. But if you're trying to save energy and be efficient, when everyone's freewheeling, just give it like 100 watts. And you'll make up wheels. And then when everyone surges, just, keep your same pace, up it just a hair. Let everyone slot in ahead of you, and you can be super efficient that way. I think here, I can't remember, I couldn't hear the bell. I could hear the bell in the race. I can't hear it now. I can't remember if this is the second preem. But at this point, I've sort of gotten it in my head that I'm going for a solo break after the second preem. And I'm just, I don't know. I felt so confident. I'm like, there's something nice about just making a decision and going all in on it. And it's like, I'm going to either gas out and get blown out the back or win. Like, I don't really care about finishing mid-pack. Like, I want to win something. So it's all or nothing, at least for me. So here it is. So this guy attacks. He wants the preem. I do this surge. And you'll see I started accelerating a little bit before he came around me just to kind of soften the blow. Didn't stand up. We're going 32 now, not having to do much work. And the moment I see him slow down, that's when I kick it up again, 35 miles an hour. I actually end up getting the preem ahead of that guy. I kind of surprised the car, which is welcome because I get to get a little draft off the car. 500 watts, 28 miles an hour, 600 watts. And it just caught the field by surprise. They thought I was going to take the preem and slot back in like everyone else. But that's not what I did. I just put the power down. You see my heart rate, 198. Very surprised how high my heart rate just stayed. But I didn't feel that fatigued. And after those two surges, I still felt like I could sustain an okay pace. I look behind me. I don't even think at this point I could see them behind me. They were so far back. You'll see I did puppy paws for a second and was like, nope, not legal. We'll have to blur that out in case the UCI is watching. But yeah, I'm sort of in disbelief. Like, I don't know, I've never had this much of a gap on a Peloton before. And I still feel pretty good. I'm trying to do a little best bike split action here, like when it's faster, coming off the power a little bit, and then hit it pretty hard up the climb. Because now it's not about surging with the group. It's about essentially like time trialing as fast as you can from here on out. A little surgier than I thought as far as my power, but ended up averaging 29.2 miles an hour for the last 2 or 3 laps is what I stayed away for. And I only did like 340 watts, almost a perfect split each lap. That was purely by chance. I just sort of based it off feel. But I guess I paced it pretty well for not looking at my power the whole time. And being an aero dork like myself, I input all the numbers into best bike split and had a CDA calculated because the numbers sort of didn't make sense to me. It says I did, again, 29 miles an hour or 29.2 at 340 watts. And I'm like, that is too fast for that power. I know sort of what my CDA is, in like full race kit. In this aero hoods position, and it's not that fast. That would put me at like a I don't want to say elite, but like a very good time trial CDA. Which this is not a time. Oh, look at me again. Why did I do that? Tisk. But yeah, that CDA number didn't make sense. What I sort of found was this car in front of me, although it looks far away, and it is actually helping me pretty significantly. I was going over some articles and stuff that were posted about breakaways and pace cars and stuff. And apparently even at 40 meters, which I believe this car was right around 40 meters for a good portion of the race, it still has a pretty significant effect on your drag. It's like a 10% reduction. So yeah, the car did help. I don't think it helped enough to like win me the race. In other words, like if the car wasn't there, could I still have stayed away? I think I could have. But it probably would have been like, I don't know, maybe even a mile per hour slower. But even then, at 28.2, I think I still would have stayed away. I don't think the Peloton averaged a lap at 28.2. Even the final lap, I don't think it was that fast. Oh, and that was the finish right there. So yeah, I'm absolutely exploded. 195 heart rate, and here everyone comes around me. And see how far ahead I was in.